Okay guys, so welcome to the video. So this is going to be a series of videos based on past clients that I've worked with to scale, okay? In this video in particular, we're talking about HyEco, owned by Archie Spence. So Archie has since liquidated and got rid of his company. He's now moved to Thailand. He's doing very, very well over there. But in the time period that he spent with me, we went from 0 to just under 300K. So we went from 0 to 279,854. And as you can see, Archie started working me around about October of 23. So as you can see, he was an established business. Archie runs a bathroom fitting business, okay? He had a van, all the tools, fully qualified, was extremely, was doing well, okay? Casually turning over anywhere from 10, 18, 20K. We then went to work, built out our system, we grew it extremely well. And by the end of the year, he went just under 500K. And that was his second year in business within this specific business model. So the story goes, Archie approached me and basically said, look, I'm looking at scaling. Have you got any ideas? So the first thing we did is we went into the onboarding process. What that means is I need to learn as much as I can about your business so I can set up a system and a strategy so that we can grow across the 4 quarters of the year. So the first thing we needed to do was establish how well he was currently doing, what resources he had, as well as overall reputation, branding, etc. So we deep dived into it and I found out that he was doing very well. All he needed was to put a system in place in order to grow. And the fundamentals were he needed a marketing strategy, an onboarding strategy, and then he needed to take the mental step back to oversee his business from a bird's eye view. An issue that pops up a lot is that a lot of business owners get stuck working within their business and they don't let their business run for itself. So what we first need to do is I needed to establish whether Archie was willing to put the work in, as well as take the leap to step back and manage rather than being on site with the team all day. So to start with, we pushed a marketing strategy through paid advertisement and through building client reports. So the issue is when it comes to online marketing, trust is at an all-time low everywhere, within every business, in the online space right now, because we've got AI and so many other scammers out there that it's hard to build trust and credibility. People are only going to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. That does step into personal branding, but from a business branding perspective, such as this, we needed as many reviews and as many testimonials as possible. So that was one of the first steps we did. We utilized a software system to go in and send out review requests from all of the past clients, and this worked extremely well. What that allowed us to do was build rapport across Google, across SEO, across our Trustpilot, and basically when people were then searching up for that specific business, we were then at the top of the list. So what I'm going to do within this video is I'm going to take you through step by step, utilizing the iPad, how you can surpass 300K within your business. Now, this is specifically for tradesmen. So bathroom fitters, leckies, brickies, plasterers, etc. This is specific for you. So there's not going to be any clickbait. There's not going to be any special editing or anything like that. I'm literally just taking you through the steps. It's as simple as that. All right. I'm going to leave no stone unturned. I'm going to make sure I cover absolutely every aspect. So get your notepad out, get a brew on, and just chill. Watch this. Take it all in. So, like I said before, we're reaching 300K. That is the goal within this video. So if you implement this entire strategy, I can 100% guarantee that you're going to hit these numbers. Right. Let's move it on. So first and foremost, we have a service. What does the service do? What pain points does it tap into? So who needs the service? How are we going to be able to psychologically manipulate that person so they definitely step on board with your specific service? So fundamentally, we need a niche. So niche could also be target market. There's multiple different words, but the niche effectively means who can you psychologically manipulate within your marketing to showcase your service. Now, you've probably heard low, medium, high ticket if you've been in the business space. Within this business itself, bathroom fitting, it's high ticket because a bathroom's going from anywhere from 5 to 50 grand, okay, depending on the clientele. Now, your pricing is inherently affected by the standard of your work. Now, I was quite lucky from a consulting point of view that the standard of work from HyEco was very, very high. The bathrooms they did were very upmarket and they were very specific to what the client wants. It wasn't just a case of fit a bathroom and lead them. No, what they can do is they can actually go in, structure everything, they can map it out, and they can work on the fly, if you know what I mean. They can be very, what's the word? Creative. Okay, so the creativity and how good they were at working was actually a massive bonus, because then the work was good, therefore the marketing is going to be good, therefore the clients that come on board are going to be very high ticket. So the niche that we were looking for was anything from 10k plus. Very simple, very easy to do. So we went to work. We utilized a system called Go High Level. That allowed us to build out all of our automations, excuse the handwriting, automation and workflows, as well as all of our Google reviews, building out the website, synchronizing the paid advertisement, and utilizing a CRM. So effectively what happens is when you're looking at implementing automation and workflow into your business, you need to know why. So you quote a job, you receive the quote, they then will receive an email stating that your quote is booked in for this day at this time with Archie. He then attends the quote, puts it together, puts a proposal, sends it out to them via email within the automation and workflow. They will then receive 5 more emails structuring when the job is going to be done, when the job is going to be finished, how much the job is going to be, and then finally they will receive a review request where they can go into Google and leave you a review. Now, not only does that very simple automation and workflow improve your relationship with your client, but it also improves your overall relationship online, because it builds the trust, it builds the respect. You become an authority because more reviews are going out onto that system. So the emails, they might seem a little bit like, yeah, but I could just text them. A text isn't going to go far. Whereas if you set up emails in an automation sequence, 1, you haven't got to take the time out of the day, but 2, the client report and the client relationship is a lot higher. So when they then go to talk about you to other people, yeah, it was perfect. We got sent this, we had all these resources, we could see a 3D model of the bathroom, we got sent the proposal, we then got sent the final payment, etc., etc. Everything is structured. Now, once you set up the automation and workflow, you can use that for every single client. Obviously, you would have to edit the quote and the proposal, but everything else is in line. Just simple stuff like booking out and leaving reviews, and that will save you mass amounts of time. Now, once we sorted that, we got the automation and workflow, and we sent it to all of the past clients to get mass amounts of reviews on board. Those reviews then built respect and credibility. We were then able to market to a higher ticket because they would already see the evidence that is there. And with this, like I said, we utilized Google and Trustpilot just because they were the main marketing sources within this industry, within this business. Next thing we did, went straight into paid advertisement. Now with this, I always recommend a triple threat. It doesn't matter what business, what industry, what service, what product, go for a triple threat strategy, purely because you can then back test, or you can set Meta to back test all of these ads. So what you might do, you might have a video, and then you might have 2 sets of graphic design. Now, within the trades industry, like I said before, Leckies, Plasterers, Brickies, etc., we find that graphic design and imagery does best. But Videos are good for testimonial purpose, so before and after. And the reason why we pump out 3 advertisements at a time is because we set the first 2 advertisements for broad, and then the third one is for re-engagement. Now, this is a whole video in itself, which I will be doing at a later date, but the video is going to showcase the exact work that you offer. You're going to be able to take them through the steps before and after, some drone footage, fisheye lens, etc. So you're taking them through the exact process so they can see from A to Z the process of their bathroom being fitted. The imagery, the graphic design is to showcase the business, showcase the work, utilize key wording, key metrics, utilizing data, growth, because if you're telling your story, people are going to buy into that story. So we've covered video, we've covered the first one. Now, the re-engagement. What we can do, we can set up the advertisement to go to people that have already been in contact with your Facebook and with your Instagram. What that allows you to do is build rapport. So they might have come across your Insta once or twice, but then they get this advertising that's pumped to them and they go, actually, yeah, because they're looking for that specific service, they buy into it. Now, the stats are, within my entire strategy, it should work out around about a 20% win rate in terms of people seeing the advertisement and then signing on board. What that means is, for every 100 people, 3% are willing to buy instantly. They've seen the video here, they've seen the graphic design, they need your service, they want your service, boom, they apply, they get a quote on board. But then there's 17% that need a little bit persuasion. They might be shopping the market, they might be getting other quotes on board. Now, this is where your brand identity and how you hold yourself will win overall, because then they see the re-engagement advertisement, they go, do you know what, yeah, let's get a quote booked in. So these types of people need a little bit more persuasion. But then when Archie turned up, suit or shirt and tie or whatever, very formal, very professional, with his iPad, notepad, taking notes, engaging in conversation, the standard of the service then rises by a lot. Therefore, there's more respect and credibility based around the service. So these were all little tips and tricks that we added into this business to psychologically help to gain more clients. So just to cover it again, we've got the video that goes out showcasing all of the work. We then have graphic design, which advertises the business and what they offer. And then we have the re-engagement image, which is once again a similar image to the first one, but it's re-engaging all of the potential people that slip through the net. Once we had all this set up, once again, we linked it with Go High Level. So what happened was, every person that filled out the form would go into the CRM, which meant we can see them, we have their details, we can manage them as a client. So you can add a nurture email, which we did. So each person would receive an email once a week based on past results, current offers, etc. That then is enough to sort of lean them towards you, persuade them, because they've already interacted with the paid advertisement. They just need a little bit of a nudge for them to fulfill and go, actually, yeah, let's book in for a quote. Another thing is, as soon as their data goes into the CRM, Archie would receive a notification directly to his phone. That would be through Lead Connector. Now, that notification would tell him who signed up at what time with their mobile, their email, their address, etc. So he's now got all the information. He can instantly ring them up. At a later date, we went into a qualifying and a setter. So we invested to bring somebody on board to fulfill that role, which then allows Archie to focus on more of the jobs that keep the needle moving, keep everything ticking over. So he would then get a calendar booked out to go and quote jobs, which at a later date he would then hire somebody to go and quote for him. But basically, the client sees the paid ad, or they sees the marketing, they see the structure on Google or Trustpilot, they get in contact, they fill out the form. The setter then rings them up, as well as sending them an email, books them in for a quote. That again gets dropped into the calendar. Somebody goes out for the quote. Archie then manages everything to push people into the job to work for him. It's as simple as that. So what we did is we reinvested on the current money that we had. There was good profit margins. So reinvesting only allowed us to scale even greater, because once you've got your marketing and your onboarding down to a T, that then allows us, that then allows us to focus on the jobs in hand. So you've got your full onboarding funnel working for you. We were taking in anywhere from 10 to 15 calls a week. It was getting a little bit hectic. So then we had to expand. Expanding within this business is literally more workforce, right? Sounds quite simple, but once you've got the jobs, you can then start bringing in more labourers, more qualified, skilled workers, and then more vans. Now, one thing that went wrong to start with was that we were outsourcing the work to people with good reputations, but they were all self-employed. So what was happening was they were coming in basically on their own time, their own effort, and having their own work ethic, which was then inherently affecting the entire business. Some jobs weren't going in on time. Some jobs weren't being fulfilled on time. Some of the jobs had little hiccups here and there. And that wasn't down to the business of HyEco. That was down to the people that were coming in. So we went, right, pause for a second. We need to work on this because this is the foundation, this is the fundamental. Your service is what matters most. Okay. So we then went into contracting. People would be paid a set wage. Archie would give them the van, give them the tools, and now they are obliged to work for him. Not in a sense where they're working for themselves and they'll turn it when they want. So now the psychology around working for HyEco is now you work for the team. Another thing we added in, which sounds a bit ridiculous, but it was a key component. Take all the boys out on the sesh. So at the end of the week, invite all the lads out on a Friday or a Saturday, take them out, put a little bit behind the bar, let them have a good time, because you give an incentive. We also looked at adding a payment incentive in. So if you get a job done early before the finish date, there's a drink on top. Do you know what I mean? So it's all these little things that add up, because not only are you building an ecosystem to bring on board clients and build the reputation of your business, but you're improving your business because your workforce is willing to work for you. Right. Once we managed to get through all of this, we were turning over anywhere from 50 to 60k a month. Everything had scaled quite fast. So as you can see here, 40k, then we're bringing it up to around about 42 to 43. Then we hit the 50k mark. So in terms of income, profit margins, and all the rest of it, we were growing and it was great. So now we need to expand once again. So this business was based within the Midlands. So how are we now going to go into London, Manchester, Liverpool, etc.? How are we going to branch out? So what we did is we looked into site managers, area managers, and looked at scaling that way. Now, once again, we hit hiccups, we hit bumps in the road because the area managers were working on their time, not on ours. So what we did is we built out a calendar system on Go High Level. So Archie would know who is where at what time. So all he had to do was go through a lead connector on his phone. We synchronized everything to Google Calendar as well. Have a look, ring them up, check in, and then you can also have somebody to oversee that process. We didn't do that in this case just because Archie wanted to be a little bit more hands-on, but we looked into branching out on a wider scale. So going back to the top, what we did, we introduced Go High Level, added all the automations in instantly, and sent out review requests to past clients. Got all those reviews on board. We introduced paid advertisement to build more marketing, to build a greater marketing system and a funnel. We then were getting quotes literally on tap, anywhere from 10 to 15 a week. We then took on the jobs that we saw fit. So any small jobs that were like 2 to 3k, we left them. Like we would quote them, but we wouldn't necessarily follow up unless we needed to. We were taking on jobs from 5, 10, 15k. We then built the CRM out. We improved and expanded the workforce. We tapped into the psychology of the workforce, that they were more committed and They loved the process of working for HyEco. And then we expanded once again with the calendar system and utilized Go High Level so that Archie could oversee and manage everything. Now, we were at a very, very good point. The business was running smoothly, and it's just a case of then keeping everything, so keeping the standards as high as possible. So once again, you add incentives. You add incentives. I hope I've spelled that right. But you add incentives to the workforce. You add payment packages, etc. You add worker of the month, etc. And you just build your community around it. Now, finally, after we'd introduced the incentives, we then started looking at apprenticeship, potentially working with colleges, etc. So you can take the payment from the college, you then pay the worker, and it's just a way of broadening your horizons and solidifying the business. But long story short, that's what we did. We built out a funnel, we built out a strategy system, and it worked very, very well. So what I want you guys now to do, if you want a free call from myself and you want to go through this structure, and I can go through step by step and help you set it out, drop me a message, okay? If you want to work with me and you're looking to scale past 300K, 500K, etc., hit the million, drop me a message, comment below, or book in directly for the Calendly link within the bio of this channel.